So we have just received a statement which Buckingham Palace say is issued on behalf of Her Majesty the Queen. The statement says, "The whole family is saddened to learn the full extent of how challenging."
Right now, Buckingham Palace has done something we rarely see, something that's sending shockwaves across the world. A chilling, precisely worded public statement has just been released on behalf of Her Majesty the Queen. And make no mistake, it's not just a press release, it's a declaration. And while on the surface it may appear calm and diplomatic, it carries the unmistakable tone of a warning. A warning directly aimed at Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. But before we unpack this unprecedented royal confrontation, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you want the unfiltered truth behind the crown, the scandals, and the stories the palace would rather keep secret, this is the channel you'll want to stick with. Now, let's get into it. The statement begins in a familiar tone. The whole family is saddened to learn the full extent of how challenging ... But that's where familiarity ends. Because what follows is not just royal politeness. What follows is a perfectly timed strike that many believe is the monarchy's long-awaited retaliation. The phrase that captured every headline and flooded social media feeds within minutes was simple but piercing. "We see you." And in the context of years of media manipulation, Netflix deals, and palace silence, that phrase hit like a thunderclap. "We see you." 3 words. But layered beneath them is an ocean of implications. This wasn't just a mild royal response, it was strategic. It was deliberate. And according to senior insiders, it was the result of months, if not years, of quiet observation and documentation behind the scenes. That statement marked a line in the sand, a public declaration that enough is enough, and what happened next confirmed just how seriously the palace is now taking this battle. Reports from within Montecito say the Sussexes have gone into full-blown panic mode. Legal teams scrambled. Media consultants flooded their phones. And sources close to Meghan say her long-planned memoir project she hoped would rival Harry's Spare has been put on indefinite pause. The reason: the palace's legal team, allegedly they've already reviewed her proposal and flagged significant breaches of confidentiality, including private conversations with the Queen, unverified accusations, and damaging claims surrounding the family's internal racism scandal. The message from the palace: enough. But here's where things get even more revealing. This wasn't an isolated response. The palace wasn't reacting to one single project or headline. This statement came after a coordinated internal review, one that had been quietly underway for months. Royal insiders now confirm that the family has been tracking every public appearance, interview, product line, podcast, and social media post linked to Harry and Meghan. Their goal: to identify patterns, to document manipulation, to gather the evidence. Because while the Sussexes were crafting their version of the truth, the palace was preparing its defense. And then came the Netflix leak. According to 2 production insiders, Meghan and Harry had recently been pitching a new pseudo-documentary that mixed fictionalized royal events with their own emotional reflections, but the palace was never consulted. Worse, several of the scenes under development allegedly depicted private conversations that occurred before their official royal exit conversations that, under protocol, are protected by confidentiality. Legal advisors believe this could be a direct violation of long-standing agreements. And the palace's statement: that was their first public attempt to shut the entire operation down. But that wasn't the only front in this royal war. Behind the scenes, Tyler Perry, once hailed as the Sussexes' protector and benefactor, has reportedly distanced himself completely. For those who don't remember, it was Perry who gave Meghan and Harry a private mansion and security when they first fled royal duties. He was their safe haven, their guardian angel, but not anymore. Sources close to Perry's production team claim he was blindsided not by scandal, but by the couple's selective truths. It turns out their narrative leaned heavily on his generosity, without his consent oozing their association with Perry to secure brand deals and media interviews. When confronted, Perry allegedly felt betrayed and quietly withdrew all public support. Today, as the royal family tightens their grip, Tyler's silence is not just noticeable, it's deafening. And Meghan, she's been trying to keep her empire afloat. From podcasts and Netflix specials, to public speaking gigs, and even her controversial-as-ever wine brand, Markle has been relentless in her pursuit of post-royal fame. But now, even that wine label is under the microscope. At launch, it was celebrated by some feminine, luxurious, aspirational, but palace advisors weren't focused on the flavor. They were focused on the design. Subtle, crown-like imagery, phrases like "crafted with nobility," and just enough ambiguity to maintain plausible deniability. Royal lawyers saw it differently. They saw it as intentional manipulation, an attempt to profit off royal symbolism without technically breaking rules. But now, they're no longer sitting. Back insiders say Meghan may be forced to rebrand or face legal consequences for leveraging her former title and royal imagery for commercial gain. It's not just business, it's branding warfare, and that brings us to the moment this war officially escalated, a confidential strategy meeting held by King Charles 3 weeks before the statement. Only the most senior royal advisors were present. The agenda, one thing, contained Harry and Meghan. Sources say the king described their actions as a reputational threat to the crown, he reportedly stated. This isn't personal, it's preservation. Let that sink in. It's no longer about family. It's about the monarchy, the institution, the legacy. And Charles, once viewed as a hesitant diplomatic monarch, is now playing the long game, a game of strategy, silence, and calculated moves. And just when you thought Harry might try to smooth things over, he made it worse. Recently, he attempted to secure a speaking role at a military charity event, tied closely to the monarchy, but the palace shut him down. Politely, firmly denied. Why? Because every appearance, every photo, every handshake risks becoming fodder for another Netflix or Spotify deal. The message is now crystal clear. The door is closed and bolted. The public reaction, absolutely explosive. Within hours of the palace statement, social media lit up. Now, they finally got it. And for the first time, even mainstream media began to shift tone. Outlets that once handled Harry and Meghan with caution now question their intentions openly. Major papers ran headlines suggesting this was the beginning of the end for the Sussex PR machine. But why now? Because according to internal sources, the palace had enough selective leaks, enough emotional monologues, enough public sympathy built on private betrayals. Behind the scenes, they've reportedly compiled a full timeline of how Harry and Meghan used PR agencies to craft a certain image, one that often clashed with royal records. One royal communications officer even said, Meghan's infamous Oprah interview was built around pre-approved questions chosen specifically to draw maximum sympathy. Not spontaneous, not vulnerable, but carefully rehearsed. And that may have been the final straw. The palace chose silence for years. But now, after collecting receipts, the Queen's office has launched a counter-offensive, not loud, not messy, but devastatingly precise. Even Meghan's lifestyle brand can't escape the fallout. As ever, her wine line now sits under discreet legal surveillance. But palace aides noted troubling design choices, patterns that mimic royal crests, phrases like poured with nobility, and marketing that walks the line between homage and exploitation. To the public, it may look like a fancy bottle. To the monarchy, it's unauthorized branding, and it's personal. And what about Harry? In private, insiders say he's grown more desperate. His attempts to quietly reconnect with royal events, like trying to appear at a military charity gala, been firmly blocked. The reason? The palace now views any public appearance by Harry as a liability, not because of who he is, but because of what he might turn it into. The royal institution is no longer willing to gamble. Any footage, any speech, any gesture could be repackaged into a new docuseries or podcast episode. The firm's position is simple: no more access means no more exploitation, and with Tyler Perry walking away, the couple may be more exposed than ever. Let's be honest, when even your biggest Hollywood ally cuts ties, it says a lot, especially when that ally once gave you a mansion, security, and full-blown support during your royal exit. But now, Perry is gone silent. Reportedly hurt and disillusioned by how his kindness was later spun into a brand narrative. It wasn't just a personal break. It's spreading asterisk with Tyler Perry gone and the palace in attack mode. The couple's carefully built empire is starting to show cracks. The Memoir paused. Netflix deals under threat. Even the Montecito Foundation's website is now being scrutinized for crown imagery and subtle royal references. Insiders say palace legal teams are tracking everything from trademarks to social media language. Nothing is being overlooked. And now, for the first time, the palace isn't just reacting. They're documenting, reviewing, and preparing. This isn't personal vengeance, it's institutional protection. Behind the curtain, royal lawyers are allegedly coordinating with media monitors and brand consultants. Every unauthorized use of title, crest, or even association with the royal image is being flagged. If a product or appearance leans into royal prestige without permission, confidential reportal allegedly compiled by Palace Communications. Officers outlined specific moments where the Sussex's public claims directly contradicted royal records. One section even refers to weaponized empathy. It's not just about stopping one memoir, one show, or one bottle of wine. Behind diplomacy during the confidential royal strategy meeting, he reportedly said, "This isn't about feelings," and just like that, released documentaries and launched platforms, the tide has turned. The public is no longer sympathetic. They're exhausted. Even people who once supported the couple now question the endless media circus, and when the palace finally spoke, it was like opening floodgates. Comment sections exploded. Influencers, reporters, even former allies started posting messages like, "It's about time, and the crown has spoken." The phrase "we see you" quickly became a symbol not just of royal retaliation, but of public accountability. A message not just to Harry and Meghan, but to anyone who thinks they can manipulate legacy for profit. Even longtime neutral journalists are no longer tiptoeing. Credibility. At its core, the monarchy represents more than family. Represents tradition, duty, and stability. And many feel Harry and Meghan tried to rip that apart, only to profit from the wreckage. That's why the palace is subtle. Elegant takedown resonated so deeply. It wasn't loud, it wasn't crude, it was surgical. A few carefully chosen lines, a phrase that echoed through every news cycle, and behind it, a legal machine already in motion ready to protect the institution with every tool it has. And in Montecito, Harry walks away and Netflix begins backing off, and your memoir is quietly shelved under legal threat. You know the tide has turned. Asterisk, so what happens now? The million-dollar question, or, more accurately, one legal line crossed, one Netflix scene, too far, and everything they've built may begin to collapse. Already, brands are reportedly reevaluating deals. After all, no brand wants to be dragged into a royal legal war. And while Harry is still believed to be trying to squeeze back into royal events, the message is clear. Those days are over. The monarchy has bolted the doorknob out of malice, but because it cannot risk being used as a marketing tool, that door is not just closed, it's sealed. And that statement? It wasn't just a warning, it was a shift in tone, in power, in control. The palace has moved from passive to proactive. They're done playing catch-up to the Sussex narrative. They're writing their own response now, quietly, powerfully, and with institutional weight behind. Every move, "because we see you," wasn't metaphorical. It was a message to the Sussexes, to Hollywood, to the world. The monarchy is watching. The game has changed and the palace isn't backing down. So, what's next? Another public statement. A lawsuit? A media blackout? Only time will tell. But one thing is clear. This is not the end. Next in this royal saga, make sure to hit that subscribe button now. Drop a comment with your thoughts and turn on notifications, because this story